Good morning, Salome B here, and this quick video is about interracial dating. I grew up in Virginia, and Virginia is about diversity. No one race lives here. And when I was coming up, I was always um, I was always faced with interracial dating. As far as with my family, families that lived around us, we were always faced with that. And when I say faced with that, some of us were grandchildren of one or two mixed race people in the family. So nobody in my community was had just straight black people in their family. Somebody in there was mixed. Like one of my friends, her grandmother came from Canada, and her grandmother was black and German. And her grandmother raised my mother, because my mother, when she was born, her mother died. So when they came into the community, they all took care of each other's children while one went out to work or whatever. They worked as a community. The women did. Anyhow, the men, they was on some other stuff. But the women, they would take care of each other's children. So her grandmother raised my mother, and she was basically biracial. And we knew that. So anyhow, I was always faced with that. And I saw that. But when I stepped outside of my community and I would see other people dating interracially, it never really worked. And I always wonder, like, why don't they work? Because, my friends, their grandparents were biracial. But I have to understand that their grandparents always, like my friend's grandfather, you could tell he was biracial. You could tell his father was biracial, but he married a black woman. So I guess what I'm saying, when they married other black people, it worked in my community. But I never saw it work just outside of the community when you have like a Chinese woman and a black man or whatever. And I never saw that. I never saw that it worked. And I always asked a question, like, I always be like, wow, why doesn't that never work? Why doesn't it work? And I always pondered about that, but I never knew. And I never did a study or a survey. One day I probably will go around doing a survey. And if you are in a mixed race, interracial marriage, and things have gone good for a long time, like 45 years or 80 years, put it down in the comment section. Hey, me and my husband been together for this long, or whatever. Or even if it's 10 years. I just never seen it. I've never seen it. So, and I've always wondered why it doesn't work. But I have a clip, and I'm going to show you this guy. He was messing with this Chinese woman, and I guess they broke up. And she spewed so much of racial slurs about him. And I was like, wait a minute. Y'all were together, so now she's spewing these hateful things about what she thinks about your race or what Chinese people as a whole think about you. So I'm going to play the clip, and I'm going to come back with the rest of my commentary.
Seasons and stuff, like what Diablo does. But you know what this is. She's back at me with another name. So here we go. Let's do it.
Fuck off, ugly shit, bitch. I just want you to get the fuck out of China. You don't deserve to be in Shanghai. Shanghai is in China, okay? Your brain is got fucked up by Shanghai hookers, Shanghai cheapest hookers. Free public bus of Shanghai. free public bus of the world. Maybe you think the Shanghai is looking beautiful, but they are the public bus of the world. Remember it. Of the world public bus for free. That's your wife. That's the woman you are sticking to and you are believing in and you are interested in. That's why you are still a loser. You have no money and you won't have money and you won't be number one in the world. You will be the last dickhead. You are the real trash. You're the trash. You are the motherfucker. You're the poorest black shit. Still living in a ghetto. You just shut up, shut up, shut up. You're not anything. You're nothing. You're not handsome. You're not tall. You are midget. You're fucking small.
She's true. That is true. I'm a fucking midget.
You are the real asshole. You have no fucking money. You only have shit. You eat shit from morning to night. You have no fucking money. You just rape the Shanghainese. You never marry any Chinese woman. You just rape one after one. You fuck them and made a video and sell them out. That's what you are. Motherfuckers and the duck. You're the duck. 北京烤鸭。
Where are these videos? Where are they?
You're fucking sick. Maybe I am sick, but it is not your business. So what? I'm quite sick, crazy, but I don't like you, and I'm not even interested in you. You fucked up, 傻逼，滚蛋！ You just get out of China. 滚蛋 Shanghai is in China. Please remember this. You fucked up, brain, and you got cheated. That's why, because you are a real bitch. Your family is bitch, and your whole family are dogs and bitch. You better kill yourself. Kill yourself. Get out of China and kill yourself to your fucking grave. And English is not American. English is English and it's not of your business. And English is always English and it's not American. Americans speaking English. And you are in Shanghai, in China. You shouldn't treat Chinese like this. You're so fucking bastard. You just get out of China. Trash. You are a fucking trash. You can't defend the good thing. Ordain, you pay for them or not. And sometimes you fuck Shanghainese and you fuck not only one Shanghainese, you fuck every Shanghainese and you make a video and you sell them out and you are quite a bitch because you think Shanghainese can be used by you. That's
Slander! Slander!
This Shanghainese woman.
This is slander. Slander. I have no idea what the hell she's talking about.
But it can be a problem. It can be an issue. That's why you cannot be honest because you are not doing a good job. You're not being a good person. You're doing job, very ugly job. Like you make porn videos, you sell your porn videos when you make love with Chinese girls, Asian girls. You change partners so frequently. That's why I think you have to test your blood. Because I guess you should get AIDS. Because your actions, you're very dangerous. Very dangerous. You're so horny. You horny every day.
She's cursing me, huh?
No one wants to satisfy you because no one can be able to satisfy you if they are Chinese or Shanghainese or whatever public bus or free bus or hookers or free bus, you know. They won't satisfy you because you're very horny. And
Okay, I'm back. Now I'm going to say, with my experience from living in Virginia, Virginia is a big melting pot of all different races. It's not one race here. And what I've learned living in Virginia, living in Prince George County is where I'm from. And Prince George County was more predominantly, it was a mixture, it was a mixed county. You had, Chinese people and all that in the military. You had white people. You had, but majority of the whites would stay there. So it was more whites than, it's more whites now. Like in the 80s, it was a mixture. You had the Greeks, they had their own stores down the street. It was a mixed melting pot. And then the next county over, Hopewell, Virginia, mostly Hispanics stay there and Indians. So it was like, it was always interesting to me because I always saw different people. But I did not see, when I went to school, I could tell a lot of my friends were mixed race. I mean, when I was little, I knew that because you could tell by just looking at them that they were mixed because they had different features. And sometimes these relationships were not always working, like, they never worked from what I saw. And sometimes I saw where people that did come here, they kept their culture, they stayed in whatever neighborhood they stayed in, they kept their culture and they did not mix, and people still got along to that degree. But every now and then, if I did see a mixed race couple, an interracial couple, it was good to some extent. I might saw a good one, but I've seen a lot of bad ones too. So I don't know what that is. And I always wanted to know when I was growing up, why does it not work? Why does it not work? Forget promoting that it works, because I see a lot of people pitching a sales pitch. You should date other people because this is what's going on. And I think it's a sales pitch for frustration. I don't disagree with it. Yeah, you should date whoever you love or whatever. No problem with that. But the high percentages that do go outside and date, it's like they have a bad experience. And I'm like, why did you have a bad experience? Even with, I've had white dudes tell me that they dated black girls and it didn't work. I got a Chinese friend named Sam. His father's Chinese. I think he died or whatever. His parents been here. They grew up in America. But he was going with this black girl. And she was Muslim. And she was beating on him. And I'm like, well, how did this dynamic happen? She was beating his ass. And I was like, why? What? How did you get like this? And he was like, he was paying her bills. He was doing this. He was doing that. And I'm like, Sam, how'd you get like that? What is it? Well, I don't understand. And he wanted to date me, but I wouldn't date him because I'm like, you're damaged goods. I don't, no, thank you. I'm just looking for friends. I'm not wanting to date any damaged goods. I'm like, you have been in like a 7-10 year relationship with this girl and she's been abusing you. I'm like, you gonna have to get over that trauma, and you're gonna have to like get your mind right. Because I'm like, you've been in a bad situation, and I don't want that situation. And we talk from time to time. Sometimes he'll call me or whatever, but I'm not. I'll tell him all the time, sir, I'm not interested. I'm not interested. I'm only interested in friendship. I'll talk to you or whatever, but I'm not interested in dating you because you had a lot of going on. But he still liked black women. He just like, I love black women. He was like, I've dated, and he always tell me about his experience dating white women, and he don't like white women. And then I had another Indian friend. He didn't like white people at all. And I remember we was at the gas station one night after we had ate out, and I went in the store. He told me to go in the store and get something to drink if I wanted it or whatever. And it was this white guy that was coming out of the store, and he actually lived in Colonial Heights, where I live at right now. And he was running out of gas. He was kind of poor, and my friend Sid looked at him and was like, "Get away from me." You know, he was like waving him away. And I didn't have any money at the time because I had left my purse. I would have gave him a couple of dollars or two, but he was like, "Get away. Get get away." And I was just like, "Wow." And he would always tell me like, "I don't like, white women, and then I like black women." And I'm like, I would always ask him. I said, you know, Indian people usually stick with their own kind. I was like, what made you want to go outside your race? And I was like, does your mother, I said, your mom is okay with you dating black women or whatever? And he was like, yeah, I'm never going back to India or anything. I'm going to stay here in America. And he had a baby mama too. And I was like, what the fuck? I just couldn't understand, like, you're an Indian dude with a baby mama. How does that work? Like, it's just seeing this stuff, it's just, I'm like, wow, I've never seen this shit before. So I don't know, interracial dating, I don't think this shit work. I don't think it worked. Now, if it works and you have some good experiences and you married to somebody for a long time, put it down in the comment section. I want to hear from y'all, because the people I've been hearing from, it has not been working. So long, B, have a nice day.